Welcome folks to all the PSTN options explained for the new Webex Contact Center. My name is Hussein Ali. I'm a technical marketing engineer within the collaboration business unit at Cisco. My focus areas include Webex Contact Center, Webex calling, and Cisco Unified Border Element. In this session, we will do a quick overview of the Webex Contact Center offering from Cisco. We will differentiate between the existing offering, which is known as the legacy VPOP integration, also known as Webex Contact Center 1.0, and then we will also cover the new Webex Contact Center, which includes the new voice media layer, also known as Webex Contact Center 2.0. Then we will talk about all the PSTN options for the new Webex Contact Center, which as of this recording is only available from the US data center and soon will be available globally. We will go over some customer scenarios and show you the onboarding via Control Hub, and then finally the takeaways for our session. Okay, let's get started. Let's do a quick overview of the Webex Contact Center solution. The Webex Contact Center offering can be broken down into two main layers, the application layer and the voice media layer. The application layer is centralized in the cloud, and the media layer, which is specific to different geographic regions. This separation basically enables the media to remain regionally and without requiring it to go all the way to the application layer cloud, giving us some architectural flexibility. The application layer is basically the brain of the whole contact center solution. It processes your voice, email, chat, analytics, and other stuff, and it can interact with different media layers, and this is where the new voice media layer comes into play. Anytime I use the new voice media layer, that means the term means the new Webex Contact Center. The voice media layer, and in this case would be the voice POP, is only available in Webex Contact Center 1.0. That voice media layer handles basic IVR, it handles your media, it handles your transfer, conferencing, recording, and the PSTN integration. Okay. With the new Webex Contact Center, we are introducing the new voice media layer, which replaces the legacy VPOP option, and it's only available with the Webex Contact Center 2.0 option. What that means is VPOPs work with existing Webex Contact Center 1.0, and the new voice media layer works with Webex Contact Center 2.0. It adds new capabilities such as AI integration. The new Webex Contact Center utilizes some of the Webex calling services that we will cover in detail, and again it's only available from the US data center and soon will be rolled out globally. Okay. I've put together a diagram of all the icons I will be using throughout the presentation today, and these are for your reference only, but a quick recap. This is your Webex Contact Center application layer icon. This icon designates your Webex calling. The new Webex Contact Center, the 2.0 option, is designated by this icon, and the existing Webex Contact Center, meaning the 1.0 option, which is the legacy VPOP, is designated with this option. The rest of the icons are self-explanatory, and I've also provided a terminology for your reference. Now, we have different ways of bringing the call into the Webex Contact Center from the end customer, and we have different ways of reaching the agent, and we will explore both of these options individually. Regardless of the integration, the PSTN integration option that you select, each answered call by an agent in the contact center world has two call legs, as we are showing over here. The one is the end customer call leg to the contact center, and then the second is the call leg between the contact center and the actual agent. To bring the call into the contact center, you have two options. You have the legacy VPOP option and the new voice media layer. We will explore both of these options. We will begin with the legacy VPOP, and then we will move on to the new voice media layer, which is the new Webex Contact Center. The legacy VPOP again is Webex Contact Center 1.0, and the new voice media layer is Webex Contact Center 2.0. The new voice media layer has subsections, which is the direct SIP trunk, the VPOP bridge, and the Webex calling option, and we'll focus on each of them individually. But first, let's cover the PSTN options for the legacy VPOP integration for Webex Contact Center 1.0. So when it comes to the legacy VPOP integration for Webex Contact Center 1.0, if you are a service provider or even if you're doing broad works, you can integrate with the Webex Contact Center through the VPOP. Basically, it's nothing but a SIP trunk to the VPOP, and all the legs, including the agent legs, can be connected via the PSTN. And oftentimes that's why you hear the term that the call has to go through the PSTN twice, and that is what it means. The contact center application and the agent all connecting via the PSTN. This option is not available with the new Webex Contact Center, which requires a VPOP bridge, and that we will be covering in detail. Today, this option is applicable for international regions, meaning Webex Contact Center customers outside of the US. This is your classic VPOP integration where the customer wants to use their own PSTN and the call comes into the customer premises through, let's say, cube in this example, and then the same or a different cube can send the call to the legacy VPOP to the contact center side. The agents will again be PBX based, meaning in case of this diagram on the left, the agent is a unified CM phone, or on the right it's a third-party PBX, and you deploy cube in both cases. This option is not supported with the new Webex Contact Center. And what is that SIP trunk to the VPOP? So you have this customer premises, you deploy a cube over here, and then this cube is supposed to connect to the VPOPs via SIP trunk in the Contact Center 1.0 option. So this SIP trunk is deployed from cube to the cloud, and it needs to be bidirectional. It needs to support G711. It should support round-robin distribution of traffic. It should support options keep alive, and then finally it should support TLS for transport. So let's take a look at how call processing takes place in a typical 1.0 Webex Contact Center. When a call comes in from the end customer through the bring your own PSTN option to the customer premises deployed cube, and then the cube sends the call to VPOP, which treats it with the IVR, and at this stage we are using a single session on cube. Now the agent becomes available and accepts the call. We send the call to the agent via the same cube back to the premises from VPOP, and at this point for this call we are consuming 2 sessions on cube. So if you recall, I said every answered call by an agent is 2 call legs. This is your call leg number 1, and this is your second call to the agent. Similarly, for outbound calls from the agent, we offer the call to the agent first, and once the agent accepts, we set up the outbound via the cube to the PSTN to connect with the end customer. And you can see these are 2 active calls as well. Now, what about the new voice media layer, meaning the new Webex Contact Center? So let's take a look at the new Webex Contact Center. This is your integration option through the new voice media layer. The first option within the new Webex Contact Center is the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option, meaning PSTN option provided by Cisco. This is nothing but a direct SIP trunk to the new voice media layer. Then the second option is the service provider PSTN option. This is the VPOP bridge option, which supports existing service providers who have circuits into the current VPOPs, meaning the legacy VPOPs. So those service providers will continue to be connected to the legacy VPOPs, and we will connect them from the legacy VPOP to the new voice media layer using what we call the VPOP bridge. Then the third option is for customers who want to utilize their own PSTN service, meaning the bring your own PSTN option. They can again deploy a cube on their premises to connect to the VPOP bridge, and then the other leg of the cube to their own PSTN option, and then from the cube to the unified CM and the agents, which are unified CM endpoints. This is again based on the customer's deployed PBX choice, like unified CM or third-party PBXs are also fine. So these are the 3 options that do not depend on Webex calling. But before we look at the options that utilize Webex calling services, let's do a quick recap of Webex calling. Webex calling is a global cloud-based calling service from Cisco with multiple PSTN options. In the Webex calling data center, we have two SBCs that provide connectivity points. On your left, in yellow, you're seeing the access SBC, and then you're seeing the peering SBC. The access SBC is the entry point for the end customer into the Webex calling data center, and for cloud connected PSTN providers, service providers, to connect to the Webex calling data center, their entry point is the peering SBC. The CCP is the Cloud Connected PSTN. CCP stands for Cloud Connected PSTN, and CCP providers terminate their SIP trunks directly into our data centers to offer cloud-based PSTN services. And you can see the call path is the call comes into the peering SBC, and then from the peering SBC, Webex calling sends the call via the access SBC over the internet to the Webex calling registered endpoint. There is also a Cisco calling plan option, right, which we just launched. That's the Cisco PSTN option. Keep in mind, it's different from the Cisco bundled, Cisco provided bundle PSTN option that we talked about. This is not the same. This is just for the calling plan, which is only, as of this recording, available for Webex calling call flows and customers. It's not available for Webex Contact Center. So we will not talk about that in the options today. Okay, so what are the benefits of this Webex Contact Center and Webex calling integration? So the key benefits from my point of view, there's a single PSTN option both for your calling and contact center call flows. You have a single pane of glass for administration via the control hub. You lower your PSTN cost by utilizing on-net calling for the agents, and you use your extension only. You can have extension only agents, thereby reducing your DIT burnout. Okay, the second option within the Webex calling is the bring your own PSTN option, and that requires something called the local gateway that you deploy on customer premises. Local gateway is nothing but a Cisco UC platform, for example a cube or a voice gateway that allows the customer to utilize their own PSTN service or integrate with an existing PBX such as Unified CM. Local gateway, when it gets that call from the PSTN, it sends that call to the Webex calling cloud via the access SBC, and the Webex calling reaches out to the agent via the same access SBC over the internet to the Webex calling endpoint. Again, a local gateway can be a Cisco Cube platform for all IP scenarios, or for Cisco or a Cisco iOS voice gateway for T1 E1 PRI deployment. Now let's review all the PSTN options for the new Webex Contact Center. So in this diagram, we are showing all the 5 PSTN options: the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option, the service provider option, the bring your own PSTN option for PBX based agents, and then the cloud connected PSTN option for Webex calling endpoints, Webex calling based agents, and the bring your own PSTN option with the local gateway for Webex calling based agents. We talk about options 1, 2, and 3 not requiring Webex calling, and options 4 and 5 requiring Webex calling. Let's take a look at each one of them one by one. We will begin with the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option. So in the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option, the call comes in via this PSTN option, and it gets to the contact center, gets the IVR treatment. Once the agent is available, it uses the same PSTN to get to the agent. This agent could be a cell phone, or it could be behind a PBX. So this is what we call the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option for the new Webex Contact Center. This is option 1. Okay. Then let's look at the service provider PSTN option. We have a Webex Contact Center service provider partner which offers the PSTN, and it's connected to the Webex Contact Center via the VPOP bridge. The call comes in from or sent by the end customer calls the contact center number. The Webex Contact Center SP partner sends the call to the Webex Contact Center cloud via the VPOP bridge. Once the call is in the contact center cloud, we queue it, we treat it for IVR, and then once an agent becomes available, we use the same path, the service provider PSTN, to get to the agent, just like we do in option number 1. In all these diagrams, you can see we are just showing the signaling path. The media path may or may not be the same, but I'm only discussing the call path, which is the signaling path, for your understanding. Okay. Then let's look at the bring your own PSTN option. There are 2 flavors of this. Either the agent is based on a third-party PBX, or the agent is a unified CM endpoint. So the call comes in via the customer-owned PSTN services, right, terminating on cube, and then cube based on the configuration that we have placed on it, most likely the phone number. It sees that the call is destined for contact center. It connects that call to the VPOP bridge, and then the VPOP bridge sends it to the contact center cloud, the application cloud, where it gets the complete contact center IVR treatment or queuing treatment. And once that agent becomes available, we send the call back to the same cube to get to the premises, and then the cube sends it to the unified CM, which sends the call to the agent. This is option number 3. Now let's move on to options that require Webex calling services within the new Webex Contact Center. So the first one we will talk about is CCP. Again, CCP stands for Cloud Connected PSTN, and we will talk about and this is the cloud-based PSTN that Webex calling customers can utilize. This is an all cloud-based option. It's one of my favorite options. The call comes in from the CCP provider to Webex calling, which will forward it to Webex Contact Center. And after getting the contact center treatment, and once an agent becomes available, the agent in this case would be a Webex calling based endpoint, the call is sent back via the Access SBC over the internet to reach the agent. Okay, all right, so then the last option over here is the bring your own PSTN option with the local gateway, meaning the customer owns the PSTN servers. So again, 2 flavors here. The agent endpoint can be a Webex calling endpoint, or the agent endpoint can be a unified CM endpoint. And then in both of these cases, we have the bring your own PSTN option. Let's take a look at the first sub option of option 5, where the agent is a Webex calling phone. So the call comes in, the end customer dials your contact center number, call comes in via your bring your own PSTN option onto the local gateway, terminates on the local gateway. The local gateway is registered to Webex calling, right? It sends that call to Webex calling. The Webex calling sends that call to Webex Contact Center within our data center. By the way, this is all transparent to you. So once the call is done receiving contact center treatment and an agent becomes available, contact center sends the call, connects the end customer to the agent via the Access SBC, which is basically the agent phone, is registered to Webex calling over the internet. The second flavor of this one is the case of unified CM, meaning the agent is a unified CM endpoint. So in Webex calling deployments, right, the default requirement where we are integrating Webex calling with unified CM, we need to deploy a local gateway, and the local gateway sends all call routing decisions to the unified CM. The reason to do that is because the customer would be an existing unified CM customer and would already have SME deployed. The SME will aggregate the dial plan. So when the end customer dials your contact center number, the call comes in onto the local gateway. The local gateway, based on the configuration, as I mentioned, the default option will send it to unified CM, and the unified CM then determines it's a call that's intended for Webex Contact Center. It sends the call back to the local gateway, and the local gateway sends it to the contact center via the Webex calling cloud, and then the call gets the IVR treatment, queuing, the whole 9 yards, and then as the agent becomes available, the call is sent back to the local gateway, and this time based on the configuration we have placed on the local gateway and the unified CM. Once the local gateway sends it back to unified CM, this time the unified CM knows that this is intended for the agent phone, and it will ring the agent phone, thereby connecting the end customer to the agent and vice versa. Okay. So let's take a look at all these PSTN options when it comes to the new Webex Contact Center. Remember, every call that's answered by an agent is two call legs, right? The call between the end customer and the contact center, and then the contact center and the agent. We just reviewed the end customer call leg option, which is all these 5 options as of this recording that we talked about. The Cisco provided bundle PSTN option, the service provider option to the VPOP bridge, the bring your own PSTN option to the VPOP bridge, and then the cloud connected PSTN provider or the bring your own PSTN with local gateway for Webex calling options. Okay. Now what about the different agent legs that are possible? So let's take a look. There are sort of 4 broad categories of the agent. The first one is the agent via PSTN. That can be, let's say if I'm an agent, my mobile phone, right? It could be PSTN to a premises based cube, which will have a PBX behind it, and then the agent will be PBX. So this is basically an option to reach the agent via the PSTN channel. The second option is an on-premises based PBX behind the cube, right? In which case you are utilizing the bring your own PSTN option. So you will have a SIP trunk from Webex Contact Center to the cube. The third option will be the same as the second one, but in this case we will have the bring your own PSTN option for a Webex calling based agent, right? And that will require us to deploy a local gateway. Remember, local gateway and cube, the terms are used interchangeably, and cube can be utilized as a local gateway. And then the fourth option is what we call the on-net option. That's the cloud connected based PSTN that you have, where the agent is also a Webex calling endpoint and the PSTN is based in the cloud. So that is purely an on-net, and on-net from the whole solution perspective. Okay. Now let's review, see how the PSTN integration and agent options come together by reviewing some PSTN use cases that can show you the complete picture. So let's take a look at the use case number 1. So in this scenario, customer has their own PSTN, they have the unified CM deployed on premises, and they have UCCX. Customer wants to transition everything to the cloud, moving everything out of their own data center, right? The endpoints, the PSTN, the call control, the contact center. So what are Cisco options available for this kind of customer? So for contact center, we have the new Webex Contact Center for this customer. And the customer also wants to migrate from unified CM to the cloud-based PBX service. So the PBX replacement would be Webex calling, and then the endpoints, because of the Webex calling, will be Webex calling based endpoints. And the customer doesn't want to even have their own PSTN. We can either offer them the Cisco bundle PSTN option or the Webex calling's cloud connected PSTN option. But since they also need a cloud calling based cloud-based calling service, and we are offering them Webex calling, then we will eliminate the Cisco bundle PSTN option, and we will offer them the Webex calling CCP option. So So this leads me to option number 4, which is basically a full migration of cloud. And you can see the endpoints are Webex calling endpoints, that is the agent. The PSTN is also cloud-based, and the call control, which is calling PBX, and the contact center, everything is a cloud-based option. Let's take a look at the next use case. Customer has their own PSTN, Unified CM, and UCCX. Customer wants to move contact center and Unified CM to the cloud, but they want to continue with their own PSTN service, meaning they want to continue to utilize the bring your own PSTN option. Customer also wants to not increase their PSTN billing usage. What that means is customer does not want the call hairpinning the PSTN multiple times. So since they want to move everything to the cloud and just keep PSTN on their premises, for the contact center from UCCX, we have the Webex Contact Center option. Now they only want to keep PSTN on premises, and they also want to replace the Unified CM. The option for calling will be Webex calling, and we can offer that to them. Then for their PSTN, we have two options. Either we can do a cube to the VPOP bridge or the local gateway. But since we are going with Webex calling in this case, so the option will be local gateway. Since they don't want to increase the PSTN billing, meaning they want to avoid calls going twice to the PSTN, we have to look at the agent options. And right away, in the agent options, we can see out of the 4 options we talked about, since they don't want to increase their PSTN billing usage, it eliminates the first agent option via PSTN. But then, since they don't want to have an on-premise PBX, meaning move to Webex calling, it eliminates the cube option to the VPOP bridge as well. Now, out of the 3 remaining options we have remaining, we know that we are moving to cloud-based PBX, Webex calling. It eliminates this agent option as well. And now we are left with 2 agent choices, either with the local gateway or CCP. Customer wants to retain their own PSTN service and does not want to utilize the cloud-connected PSTN option. So in summary, we will have this bring your own PSTN option with the local gateway for this customer, and then the agent will be Webex calling endpoint for this customer. And this we will end up something similar to use case number 1, but instead of CCP, we have the local gateway. Now let's take a look at PSTN option use case number 3. So in this case, again, customer has their own PSTN, Unified CM, and UCCX. They only want to transition the contact center to the cloud, meaning move from UCCX to a cloud-based contact center. And they want to retain their own PSTN service, which is the bring your own PSTN and UCM. So what are some of the Cisco options that we can offer them? So first, since they only want to go cloud, migrate to cloud for the contact center, we will offer them the Webex Contact Center in this case, but they want to keep their Unified CM and bring your own PSTN. This becomes option 3, which is you deploy a cube on customer premises and use that cube to terminate the PSTN service, and also connect that cube, use that cube to connect to the VPOP bridge. This is typical of both the Webex Contact Center 1.0 or Webex Contact Center 2.0 option. Now let's take a look at the onboarding process and how these 5 different options map in Control Hub. Okay, so Control Hub is all things Cisco Cloud Collab management interface, and when you can, once you purchase your services and licensing, you can log into Control Hub for the first time, and you will run through something called the first time setup wizard. You can take a look at your licenses and the options that are available to you, the trials you can run, from Webex app to the Webex meeting to the Webex calling and to the Webex Contact Center being available to you. So we will run through the first time setup wizard. Then we will fill out the customer contact information, name, and then the address, which will determine your data center location. And then you will fill out the information for your first site. Once you are done with that, you will get to the contact center portion of the control hub. And once you get to the contact center portion, you can see we have the option for default platform and the new platform. The default platform is Webex Contact Center 1.0, the legacy VPOP integration, and the new platform is the new voice media layer, Webex Contact Center 2.0, the new Webex Contact Center. When you get to this page, you select the new platform, and if you have purchased the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option, it will show up over here, Webex Contact Center Telephony. That is your option number 1 out of the 5 options. Okay. Now, let's say once you're done selecting your new Webex Contact Center option, you did not purchase the Cisco provided bundle PSTN option and you want to take a look at other PSTN integration options. You can select between VoicePop Bridge or Webex Calling. The VoicePop Bridge over here is your options 2 and 3. Remember, this is the Webex Contact Center service provider terminating into the VoicePop Bridge, or the bring your own PSTN with Cube terminating to the VoicePop Bridge. Okay. Then, if you choose to utilize options 4 and 5 that rely on Webex calling, you can select over here. And once you come over here, you get access to options 4 and 5. Option 4 being Webex Calling's cloud connected PSTN provider, or bring your own PSTN with the local gateway option. Okay. Finally, coming on to the key takeaways of our section. Remember, the first thing that I want to remind everyone is that every call in Webex Contact Center has 2 call legs, the end customer call leg and the agent call leg. To bring the call into the Webex Contact Center, we can utilize either the new voice media layer, which is again the new Webex Contact Center. Currently, as of this recording, that option is only available in US and it will be available globally soon. Or you have the second option of the legacy VPOP, which is globally still available, and that is referred to as the Webex Contact Center 1.0. The second takeaway is if you want to utilize your own PSTN, you have 2 options, either to go with a Cube or local gateway. Cube to the VPOP bridge, again that will be your Webex Contact Center 2.0, the new voice media layer, or to the legacy VPOP, which is Webex Contact Center 1.0. Local gateway means the solution has to have Webex calling deployed. Okay. Remember, you can convert an existing Cube into a local gateway as well if you have the capacity and the right set of configuration on it. And finally, when it comes to migration, my recommendation is to map your components, contact center UCCX to the new Webex Contact Center, PBX Unified CM to the Webex calling option. The endpoints will be your Webex calling endpoints. And remember, if you have the MPP phones, with Webex calling, you can easily convert them from the enterprise firmware to the Webex calling MPP firmware as well. So that is easily doable, and you can visit to upgrade.cisco.com to learn more details about it. And then the last thing is PSTN, you could think as a cloud connected PSTN for Webex calling, or you can think of a Cisco bundle PSTN option. So map the components so that you don't feel overwhelmed with all the migration options. Okay, so with that is all the content we have today for you in this session. I would like to thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Cisco life. Feel free to reach out to me on Webex team spaces that have been set up for this session, or individually, and I'll be more than happy to interact with you. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.